I was here in the 60s. This is true. You may think I'm winding you up, but I was here in 67 or something with my dad when I was a wee lad, as they would say in England. 67 or 68. I came down here to Durban, Johannesburg, and Cape Town for about a couple of months. My dad was playing tennis. The reason I moved to America in 1980 was to play tennis at a particular high school in south of Los Angeles. In Denmark, I was ranked in the top 10 in my age group. And when I moved to LA to go to this high school, I didn't make the tennis team. So I wasn't one of the 7 best players at that high school. And that set me back mentally, to put it mildly. And what else happened? Music was just always lurking in the shadows, ready to take over. So in the winter of 80, 81, it finally took over. I begged a drum kit out of my grandmother. Grandmothers are easy prey for these types of things. I begged a drum kit out of my grandmother in about 77 maybe, so I was about 13. And then when tennis didn't quite happen when I was about 17, then music took over. It was kind of a natural swap. And just the whole thing to me about playing music is not thinking. There's obviously a side, a business side in terms of you have to put your CDs of the new album in the hotel safe, or things like that where you have to think. But with the creation of music and the way that people respond to the music, you just try to not get too caught up in that. But obviously I am aware of the fact that the music that we play and what we do inspires people, and it's very humbling to hear, but it's not something that I carry with me. But I allow myself to feel good about it in the meet and greets. You have to learn to compromise in any kind of relationship. There has to be a give and take. And so somehow we sort of figured out how to do that. It hasn't always been easy. And when you're younger, you're a bit more, fit for fight or ready to kind of, it's either your way or no way. But I think as you get older and you start realizing that what you have is precious, and that that at least in this band, the Metallica is the sum of all the parts. So if all the parts are not there, this is not Metallica. So you have to find a way to kind of give and take and balance and compromise, and sometimes you lead and sometimes you follow, and sometimes you dig your heels in, and other times you let go. It takes some time to figure that out. I think a really big help in our situation was the fact that we all had kids more or less around the same time. So when you have no kids, and obviously this is the soundbite version of this, but when you have no kids, you think primarily of yourself. When you have children, you think primarily of others before yourself. And so I think some of the things about the way you relate to your children and put your children first, you learn to kind of put your own needs secondary. And I think the fact that we all had kids at the same time helped instill that in us. And so you try to sort of sometimes just put your own needs second, and learn to trust that you can go with somebody else's thought or opinion. Anything else that I would like to, I don't have I'm not a bucket list kind of a guy, or I don't have a sort of, if I don't get into outer space in the next 10 years or jump out of an airplane, or, I've lived a pretty crazy life for 49 years, and I think that, one day I wish that I will have the same inner peace as my father. That's probably one thing to aim for, and have a little bit of I have a lot of restless energy, It may be the fact that I drink like 25 cups of tea a day. It may have something to do with it. But one day I wish that I would just sort of be able to just kind of do nothing. I'm not very good at doing nothing. I would say it would surprise me if the next full-length Metallica record would come out before 2015. So it takes us a while to make records, and we're also so busy with so many other things. So, but we'll get around to it eventually.
Hardest Metallica song for you to play?
The hardest one?
Yes. If you have one.
There's one called the Judas Kiss that's not particularly easy. We've played a bunch. Suicide and Redemption is not particularly easy. Dyer's Eve. Some of those songs get very heady. You have to think about the next part all the time.
Okay.
We make mistakes all the time, yes.
And
The difference between now and back then we used to sit and yell at each other. You made a mistake in song 4. Now we actually sit and laugh. It's like, haha, remember the mistake in song 4? Wasn't that funny? That's the main difference between being 22-year-old and taking it very seriously and being 150 years old and just kind of having fun. Now it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And we've actually figured out that you can't actually, since they're our own songs, we can't theoretically really make a mistake in them. What we're doing is we're just altering them.